Hi, my name is Dawn Johnson and I am the violist in the String Queens. Something that I truly enjoy about being a member of the String Queens is that we perform many different genres of music on our instruments. Oftentimes when we perform, we use a technique called improvisation. Improvisation is something that we do to challenge the traditional ways that we would normally play a piece of music. In this video, I am excited to share a recipe for improvisation with you. So let's get started with our ingredients. For the first ingredient, we are going to need the G major scale. I'll play the G major scale for you now, both ascending and descending. All right. For our next ingredient, we are going to need a backing track in the key of G major. The backing track that I'm going to use can be easily found on YouTube, and it is titled Pop Rock Backing Track in G major at 120 beats per minute, or BPM. Let's take a moment to listen to a few seconds of this backing track now. All right, so we are now ready to combine our first two ingredients. We're going to play the G major scale in tempo using quarter notes over the backing track. All right, so one of the reasons that I enjoy using this backing track is because it already has the chord progression spelled out for you. In this backing track, the chord progression is G major for 2 measures, C major for 1 measure, followed by D major for 1 measure. You can hear this progression being played by the keyboard. Let's try playing the sequence of root notes now in the chord progression with the keyboard. So I think we are now ready to spice up our recipe for improvisation with some special seasonings. For our final ingredients, we are going to need a combination of different rhythmic patterns and cool sound effects. The rhythmic patterns that I am going to use in this recipe are a combination of eighth notes and triplets. I'll play an example of these rhythmic patterns for you now using the G major scale. I'll play eighth notes as the scale ascends and triplets as the scale descends. Now, the cool sound effects that I'm going to use in this recipe are double stops and tremolo. I'll demonstrate what these techniques sound like for you now, again, using the G major scale. I'll play double stops as the scale ascends and tremolo as the scale descends. All right, we are now ready to start combining our seasonings or rhythmic patterns with cool sound effects with the other ingredients in our recipe. First, we are going to pick any random note from the G major scale to play in between the root notes of each chord in the backing track. Here's an example of how to do that. ready to take things one step further, and we are going to spice up that one random note from the G major scale that we played in between the root note of each chord with a combination of other notes from the G major scale, different rhythmic patterns, and cool sound effects. For the purpose of this video, I am going to use the musical seasonings that I previously mentioned, but feel free to use any combination of seasonings in your musical spice cabinet. At this point, our recipe for improvisation is complete. Let's take a listen now to my variation of this recipe based on the ingredients that I used. And remember, your recipe should sound slightly different from mine based on the variation of ingredients that you decided to use. Here's a little taste of mine. Wow, that was really fun, and it totally satisfied my musical taste. I'm so excited to keep playing around with different variations of this recipe to give my improvisation even more flavor. Remember, improvisation is rooted in freedom. Freedom for you to challenge the traditional ways of playing a piece of music. I hope you have fun creating different variations of this recipe, and be sure to share your musical dish with me at thestringqueens@gmail.com. I can't wait to hear what you come up with.